Oh my God. All right. Hey everyone, I am back. We still have a bit of a lighting situation, but it is better than what it was. And I'm just going to continue because I said that we would do this live, and we are going to do this live. So I actually had a peek at the footage that we did before. So we talked for about 45 minutes before. Like we started at 12. We talked until about 12:45 until I accidentally did something and got disconnected, and now I jump back on. And I'm sort of debating whether or not I want to just start the whole live over, having looked at the footage and just seeing like how difficult it was to be able to see me, or if I should just continue from where I left off. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start from the top. So since it was live, it's going to be a little bit different than the last start that we did because I'm just speaking freely mostly. But you are getting a double session then. I'm going to take it from the top. So if you were here earlier, just letting you know that we are going to be starting all over again. We're going to start from the top. The topic for today is how to get them to value you, and specifically how to get the respect that you deserve. Now, before I get into things, again, I want to let you know that there are a couple of videos on the subject matter that you can go and watch at any time. They should be on the Self-Love Masterclass playlist or the Relationship Coaching playlist. So definitely check those out. Really happy to be here with you all. We're going to do this again. It's going to be great. Grab your pen, your paper, your smartphone, whatever, and let's get ready to take some notes. So I've got 5 points that I'm actually going to run through, and they're going to be meaty points. Very big talking points. You will notice around the 29-minute mark, so every half an hour, we'll have the camera just shut down very quickly for about 3 seconds, and I will restart it. There's no workaround for that. I'm using a DSLR camera and not a webcam. And so this is just how DSLR cameras are built. They're built to shut down after 29 minutes, and then you just reboot them. So that will happen. So now that we have all housekeeping and all logistics out of the way, let's get back into this lesson. Let's do this. Y'all, this is what it's like when you are doing lives for the first time. Literally, I've been having people asking me to do lives for probably over 3 years now, and I'm finally just getting into them. So we'll have some bumps along the road, some kinks to work out. I'll be figuring out the best times to do things because I particularly like to work with natural light and daylight. I do have like ring lights and camera lights and all that kind of stuff, but just from a vibrational standpoint, I really love working with natural daylight. So we'll figure it all out. For now, let's just get into it. So the first point that I'm going to talk to you all about, and for those of you that were here an hour ago, you're going to hear this again in another way, is we're going to talk about respecting ourselves. Respecting ourselves. When it comes to respecting ourselves, there are some really, really important things to know here. The first is that people are learning about who we are by how we treat ourselves. In other words, by how we respect ourselves. If you are having difficulty with people respecting you, consider that there's a way that they are observing you when they are around you that is emitting to them or translating to them that you are someone who does not value yourself that much, or not enough, or certainly not as much as they would value themselves. And a lot of time we can wonder, like, how would anyone pick up on this, or why would anyone think that. Sometimes when I'm working with clients, they think that how people are picking this up is by how they feel about themselves internally. So for those of us that are very early on our self-love journey, we're still kind of new, maybe we have a ton of insecurities and stuff like that. We're thinking to ourselves, oh, are they picking up on my feeling insecure? Am I being nervous, or am I being uncomfortable around them? No, it's not necessarily that. Sometimes it can be that, but more so what it is they are watching you and how you are with you and how you conduct yourself, how you speak, how you present yourself. And that is giving them information about how you think and feel about yourself. So let's talk about some of the very, very simple things that emit a communication about who we are for ourselves. Presentation is the most obvious one. And when I'm talking about presentation, what I'm really referring to is how you present yourself. That can be how you dress. That can be how you move. So body language, how open you are, that sort of thing. These things are visually all the time, just letting people know how you think about yourselves. Now, here's the thing to not get tripped up on, because sometimes people think like, oh, does that mean that I should dress like this, or I should dress like that, or I should stop wearing these things and start wearing those things? And like they think it's about a particular style. Or people think, oh, I have to be thinner, or I have to be tall, all this stuff. And I don't want us to get bogged down into the social constructs of beauty and things that we've been taught about how to dress. This goes deeper than that. This is about understanding that a person can simply tell if you care for yourself or not by how you present. Do you care at all about yourself by how you present? Now, some of it might be their judgment, and that we don't have any control of. But I'm telling you right now that if you roll out of the house like you absolutely could not care less about yourself, versus you roll out of the house like you love yourself, you like put yourself together in a certain way where you were feeling yourself, those two versions of you convey two very different messages and two very different energies. And so anybody that is around you or sees you a lot of the time not caring for yourself, it's going to be very difficult for them to automatically create the association that you're somebody that they need to respect more, okay? Because you're not respecting yourself more. People who appear to respect themselves more generally get respected more often. And you can't fake this thing. That's the thing. You really can't fake this thing, which is why, haven't you seen before, like you'll see somebody and maybe they're slamming around all kinds of, designer labels and designer brands, and they're boasting about how much their watch was or how much this thing was. And even though they've got all these goods, people are still kind of like not attracted to them and not really like respecting of them. It's because even though they have all these fancy things or these things that they think will make people like them, the arrogance and the boastiness is coming through, and that's actually showing that they're very insecure and they likely don't have a high level of respect for themselves because they're just so out to buy things just to gain other people's validation and approval. So some people will respect that, the people who think like that, but the people who are a little bit more down to earth, more authentic, the people who just want to connect with you and want to get to know you, people who aren't like out to like get something from you, they're going to be kind of turned off by that, and they're not going to have as much respect for you. So you can't fake this sort of thing. It's about you being like, I care for myself, and the way that I present myself visually is in a way where you can see that I have cared for myself and that I do care for myself. So you guys figure out what that style is, what that self-expression is, what that look is, what feels right for you. But do ensure that you are caring for yourself so that other people, when they're around you, they're picking up on that. That helps people to have more respect for you. That is you respecting yourself. Now, there are other things in this point that I do want to talk about, and some of those things are the choices that you make. If you were here in the first live that I started, you heard me give this example, so I'm going to give it again because I think it's really, really powerful. The choices that we make often convey to other people how we love and respect ourselves, and then it helps them in turn understand how they should respect us. So I was sharing earlier that I had a client that I worked with that was really interested in this guy. And, he was what she was looking for. And she's like really excited that she met this person. And so what happened was, she would do like backflips and somersaults. Like she would just be like trying to make plans with him, like way, way in advance, like giving him all kinds of room and opportunity for like whatever works for him to get back to her. Like she was just like so wide open. And what happened was the guy started like wanting to have plans with her, but he would just like call her like Friday night at 10 o'clock. Hey, what are you up to? Saturday, maybe at, 1 a.m. Hey, what are you up to? Like all these late last minute sort of no effort things. Now, I want to be really, really, really clear about this. What we're talking about here, everything that I'm teaching you here, I want you to understand that this is not about manipulation tactics. This is not about like these like weird psychological mind game strategies, the things that some content creators and some teachers are teaching people. I don't believe in that stuff. I think it's emotionally abusive. I also think that if you need to use tactics like that, it speaks to you being really, really insecure and probably in a very inferior position in the dynamic. And then it's like, why do you want that person? Like there's a lot of deep issues going on there. So I don't believe that you can have people truly value you and respect you by playing games and manipulation. Eventually the game's going to blow up in your face and you're going to get hurt and they're going to get hurt. Like if you're lying, you cannot sustain that. You cannot sustain that. And people who truly love themselves and actually know their worth, they will see right through all of that stuff and they will leave you right there. Okay? So we're not doing any of that stuff. That's not what I'm teaching. So with this particular client in this situation, I said to her, like, do you feel like when he calls you at 10 o'clock at night or, Saturday at 1 a.m. and you say yes and you like go out with him, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel like you are respecting yourself? Is this what you want? And then she said, actually, no. It's not. This is not what I want. And I actually don't feel good about myself. I actually feel worse about myself when I say yes. But I've been saying yes because I feel like I won't get to see him guys and I really like him and I want to spend time with him, all this stuff, right? And so what we kind of had to get to was like, I so understand that he's what you're looking for and you really like him. But when you say yes, when it doesn't feel good and you continue to do that, you are not respecting your feelings and yourself. You're not feeling good about yourself. And that is lowering your value. You don't have to tell him that. You don't have to say that. It's just automatically doing that because you don't feel good about it. Chances are, if he is truly what you're looking for, he probably knows that maybe it's a little bit, not so great, but you're okay with it. So I guess it's fine. So all around, it's creating like this whole like sweet storm of like disrespect, like a whole dynamic of disrespect. So then I just asked her, I said, you know, what would make you feel like you're really loving and respecting yourself in this situation? Again, without demonizing him, because he's not doing anything except inviting her out when he wants to. Right? We could easily blame this guy and be like, oh, he's such a jerk, or he's so insensitive, he's so whatever. But it's like, she's the one saying yes. She's the one agreeing to it. She's allowing all of it. So she has to take responsibility. And she did. So what she recognized at that time was like what actually would have honor and would have respect for her was to decline, even though that was disappointing, right? Even though she wanted to see him, it's like, listen, this really doesn't work for me because I have to get up in the morning and I have things to do. And like, you know, I'd love to see you, but just need a little bit more planning or a little bit more notice, like whatever. And you want to know what happened? He started asking her out earlier during the week. Like, it's that simple, but we complicate it. So when we don't respect ourselves and we don't feel worthy, we act in ways that are unworthy or disrespectful to ourselves. And then other people just go with it because we are going with it. So that's an example of choices. She started making different choices, and this person started to match the respect that she had for herself. In some situations, y'all, some people will just decide that they don't like that and they will leave your life. And you want to become okay with saying, oh, when I respect myself, this person is turned off by that. This person is literally turned off by me honoring, respecting, and loving myself. Maybe that's a person that's just not aligned with me. You know, rather than being like, how do I get this person or how do I get them? That is a fundamental issue. If you loved yourself, you wouldn't be trying to chase down somebody who only wants you when you're disrespecting yourself. Okay? Very, very, very important thing. Note that. So that is the first point about respecting yourself. You will get more respect and you will be valued more by people when you are giving yourself the same level of respect, when you are treating yourself with respect. Because when you treat yourself with respect, it says, I know my value, and people pick up on that. All right, so let's move to the second point. Yeah, this lighting is so much better. Oh my gosh. It's not perfect, but it's better. Okay. So the second point that we're going to talk about is knowing your value. And it feels perfect to get into that after where we just left off with the last point. Knowing your value. So this is tricky. I'm going to split this up into two things, okay? Because knowing your value is about understanding that healthy relationships have an equal exchange of energy. And so in order to have an equal exchange of energy, it's important for you to know your value. In other words, it's important for you to be like, okay, here's what I have to offer, and here's what I bring to the table. In a friendship, as an employee, in a friendship, did I say friendship? In a relationship, like every relationship that you have, you want there to be an equal exchange of energy. If there isn't an equal exchange of energy, there's going to be an issue unless it is for charity. Okay? So when you're doing volunteer work, when you are doing work with a charity, you are giving, 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 and the expectation is that you just give. And that is true for the other person. If it is a friendship, if it is a romantic relationship, marriage, partnership, whatever, If it is an employee to, employer relationship, if it is a clientee, what? Client? Oh my gosh. Totally drew a blank, but you understand what I'm saying. A client to an organization or a coach or a therapist, whatever it is, there needs to be an equal exchange of energy. So I implore you all, if you are in a relationship where you do not feel like you are being valued or like you are being respected, something has happened, because in that other person's eyes, they either think they bring more value than you do, or they do not think that whatever value it is you're bringing is that much. So you have either overestimated your value, or they are underestimating your value, and there is a reason for that, and there's something to look into there. I hope that makes sense. Your value, it's like when you're watching, what's that show? When you're watching Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, let's say you have a business, you have to give them a valuation, and you have to be able to back up that, like, where are you getting those facts and those figures from? Very much so in relationships, though they're not businesses, okay? This is just an analogy. We want there to be an equal exchange of energy. So you can't be inflated in your value, and they cannot be underestimating your value, or there's going to be problems. For some of us, we are chasing down people that just don't value us. So I gave this example. The example is, let us say, I'll use romantic relationships. Let us say you start, involving yourself with or dating someone who that they only value women that are a size 2, that, have a BBL and have. If that is the case, that person's preferences or what that person desires, then the thing that you have to understand is this person is already seeing you as less valuable. And you guys, I see this a lot. Sorry, my nose is so itchy. I see this a lot. I see many of us putting ourselves in relationships or working for people or being in dynamics with people whose value systems do not match ours. Their value systems do not match ours, or they do not match who we are. And then what happens is we go in not feeling good enough and feeling like we have to prove something or we have to overcompensate. And now this is where you're giving and giving and giving and giving and not getting enough in return. I've seen this in so many cases. Maybe people think, oh, these people are so much smarter, or these people are so much more successful, or these people are so much whatever. Your opinion of yourself now that you're beneath them, or their opinion that they're somehow above you, is putting you in a dynamic that is very imbalanced. You don't know your worth. They don't know your worth. And that's why the relationship is going that way, where you are just giving and giving and giving, or you're not being seen, you're not being heard, you're not being respected in the way that you want to be, because they're not valuing you like that. And so the thing that you want to think about is, why am I in a situation with people who, like, their values are so all the way over there that I'm considered nothing or I'm not enough for them? Why are you in that dynamic? Now, for some of you, it might be that you believe that too. And that's why you put yourself in those situations where they can mirror back to you that it's you that doesn't think that you are good enough, and you are using those relationships and them to prove to yourself that you are good enough. So you're going to keep doing those somersaults, those backflips. You're going to keep trying to be more and more and make these people like you, or make this person like you, or be that perfect employee, or whatever it is. You're just going to keep doing that. They're not going to value you more. Okay? You're just going to keep burning yourself out. And in fact, what that does is that actually has them value you less, because what it says is, you know, you're not good enough. So good, keep on doing that. There's this therapist that I like to follow on TikTok. Yeah, he's a licensed therapist. I actually just did a TikTok where I stitched or duetted a post of his. He's really great at what he does. And he said something so profound a couple of weeks ago. He said, you cannot make someone value you more by giving them more of what they already don't value. Ooh, sit with that. Oh my God. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh yes, I felt that. I'm going to say this again. You cannot make someone value you more by giving them more of what they already don't value. So you can buy more things. You can make yourself more available. Like in the situation with the woman that I talked to you about before, you can make yourself available 7 days a week. That is not going to have them be like, oh, wow, I want to spend more time with her, or like value that person more. That's going to have them go, wow, this person really like, I don't know. There's something about them that I'm not attracted to that. I'm very turned off by that. So you all, this is so, 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 so important. You have to know your value, and it's okay to be like, hey, I don't think these people are my people, or we have different value sets. I don't think these people are going to see me. You know, I work with some people where they're just like, okay, I don't think we're a match. And it's just better for me to not be around these people, because when I'm around them, based on their beliefs and their values, they make anybody that's not like them feel inferior. I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around people like that. So know that for yourself, and know when you don't see your value and now you're trying to use other people, a job, a title, or whatever to validate your worth. Now, the last thing that I want to say about this point is that, let me just check and see how you guys are doing here. Okay, super. The last thing I want to say on this particular point is this. This one's hard, okay? This is something I had to work on for myself, okay? Is sometimes you think you bring a certain value. Like you're like, okay, I know what I bring. And we sort of touched on this, but your view of what you bring is maybe inflated, okay? And so what's happening is you think you bring whatever you bring to the table, to the friendship, to the relationship, to the job, whatever it is, but what you're bringing is not enough. Okay, you need to understand how other people feel about your value. So this is different than what I just spoke about, which is like, hold on a second. These people fundamentally see you in a particular way or have a certain belief system, and you're not going to meet the measure. And let's check and see why you even want to go there. This is more like, no, you're in a relationship, or you're in a friendship, or you're in a job, and you think you're delivering something, and you might not be. You might not be. And so what's happening is your value is beginning to lower in that person's eyes. Okay, because it's like my needs are not being met, or I'm not being satisfied, or something about what you're doing isn't working for me. Now, ideally, you would hope that you are in a dynamic with people where they would communicate that to you, like, and not expect you to be a mind reader and figure that out. But also, as a self-aware person, you want to be checking for that. I've also been on the other end too, where I've been in relationships where people are not bringing value. They think they are, but they're not. And it's almost arrogant and annoying. And it just makes me want to get away from them farther, right? I'll give you an example of this. You know, I'm like, let me just think about the stories I want to share. So I want to be respectful. I have nothing but respect for everyone in my past. Well, I shouldn't say necessarily respect, but I would say love, just keeping it real. So I got nothing but love for everyone in my past. So I'll give you this one, okay? You know, there was someone that I was seeing, and this is an ex of mine, and he was ridiculously wealthy. Ridiculously wealthy, okay? And there were many things that he did in the relationship where, you know, like groceries for me, or like, just he would do things for me. And that's really lovely and beautiful and nice. And I was grateful for that. But the one thing that he didn't really do, sorry, that's cats in the background if you hear them. The one thing that he didn't really do was listen to me, okay? He didn't listen to me, so like, if I'm going through something, or, something like stressful would be happening, he wouldn't listen to me. He would always want to like tell me what I should do or tell me what to do. And then in addition, he was super critical. Like, he was one of those people where every time, like, you couldn't do anything without him being like, oh, you should have done it this way. Oh, next time do it that way. Oh, next time this, that, or the other. And it's like, what you're doing, and actually I think he was using a little bit of manipulation tactics. I think he was using some of the like Robert Greene 48 laws of power stuff. But anyway, no amount of money or doing things for somebody can replace your heart and empathy and just being somebody who listens. So do you see what I'm saying here in this example? He thought that he was bringing so much value. Look at him with all his money and all this stuff. He really thought he was the cat's meow. Okay. But for me, right, I was like, the money is like this to me. Your heart and your ability to listen to me and how I feel is everything. So you're not bringing any value to me. And so I ended that relationship. So very important, you all, to make sure, okay, that if you feel like someone's not valuing you, or someone's not like wanting to like be near you or connect with you or whatever it is, like, are you being what that person wants or needs? Not like you're supposed to change yourself for them, but like, don't make the mistake of just thinking that you're doing everything. Ask, check in, see how they feel. And then on the other end, we sort of talked about, for you, if people are not being that for you, understand that there's something going on that would have you there, that would have you like still in this relationship where you're not being valued and you're still there. Like, what's going on? Why are you still there? So that's what we'll say for now about that point. I feel like there's so much more I want to say on that, but we're just going to stop there. Okay, let's talk about our third point. I'm so hot. Woo! I'm so hot. It's okay. The sun is still beating in. If you were here before, I literally was having this crazy situation with the sun, which is what had us like start all over again, blah, blah, blah. But the sun is still like beating down. I'm super grateful. If you didn't know, my clients who are on the phone with me one-to-one know, because they often hear the windows whistling. I have like floor to ceiling windows in my condo. And it's so beautiful because on one end of the condo, you get the sunrise and it's so beautiful. And there's a lake that way. So you can see like the sunrise over the lake. And then on this side here of the condo, you get to see the sunset. And then you can see like the CN Tower in the distance. And it's so pretty. But let me tell you, when the sun is coming through the windows, it is no joke. It is no joke. All right. So anyway, getting back to number 3, it's treat others the way that you want to be treated. I feel like this builds on our last point. This, once again, is coming down to self-awareness. You have to treat people the way you want to be treated. If you're not being respected and you're not being valued, you want to check in and see, well, how am I treating them? And how, like, are they receiving me? Because one of the things that I see, you all, is sometimes people just lack the self-awareness where it's like, oh, this person gets so angry or they're so emotionally dysregulated or, you know, they're always flying off the handle. But then when I check in and we start to do some like one-to-one work, it's like, but you also do that to them, okay? You're also doing that. So your behavior is not really that much different. You just feel justified for the way you behave. Well, consider that they also feel justified, right? So that's where you have to be really careful. You can't say that you want people to be patient. You want people to be understanding. You want people to be safe and non-judgmental when you yourself are not so safe and quite judgmental and also yelling and screaming or sending like really hurtful things, right? If you are going to ask that and have that standard, it means that you must be able to uphold the standard as well. Now, I'm not saying that let yourself get beat up and abused or treated poorly. What I'm saying is conduct yourself to your standards. This way, when you say, hey, here's how I want to be treated, the person doesn't have any leg to stand on and say, well, you know, threw a pot, or you also, you know, yell when you're angry, or you also say really, you know, hurtful or hateful things, or this is what you do too. It's like you're doing the same thing. You're mad at me for doing exactly what you do. So we got to treat people the way we want to be treated, and we want to be compassionate. Now, here's where the line is, and we'll get more into this into the next point, is you want to treat people with love and treat people with compassion and be a safe space for people and be open, right? And remember what I said in the last point, this is not charity. It's not charity. So if at any point you feel that you're offering this and you're treating people really well and people are not reciprocating and not treating you well, that doesn't mean that you just sit there and take it. This is where we get to the next point. This is where we have to go, okay, there's something for me to do here. I need to look at why I'm still here. If I'm not being treated the way I want to be treated, I need to look at if I've communicated how I expect to be treated. And I need to look at what I need to do next. So let's get to the next point, okay? I think that one was a short one and it's pretty self-explanatory. Like we learned this in kindergarten, right? We learned this in kindergarten, treat people the way you want to be treated. Not to be confused with love languages, because everyone has, you know, a different love language. And so then you actually want to find out what other people's love languages are so that you can speak to that. But anyway, boundaries is the next one. Boundaries. So now if you find yourself at a place where you are upholding your standards, in other words, you're like, I am treating people the way I want to be treated, but there's just simply some people who are just not able to, not willing to, and that sort of thing. What do I do? Well, this is where you have to set expectations and boundaries for people. So remember the example that I gave at the very beginning where I talked about the woman I worked with that was kind of just saying yes to all these last minute, low effort, no like consideration invitations out. And then she changed that. She didn't even have to have this big old long conversation like, you don't respect me and you don't care about me. If you cared about me, you would actually be more considerate and you would do this and you didn't. She didn't do all of that schooling and all that kind of stuff. No, because that would have been just her venting and projecting her upset at herself for not respecting herself to him. Okay. Instead, she just was like, nope, I like to be in bed by, 10, 11 o'clock on a Sunday. So no thanks. Maybe another time. Right there, that can be the example of a boundary. It can be that simple. No thanks. I don't really do that. Right? Set your boundaries. If somebody is always calling you at midnight or always texting you at midnight or whatever the case may be, you can lovingly just let them know, like, hey, can you wait till, the morning to send me messages or send me whatever? Or sometimes it can simply look like, turn your phone off. If you sleep at night and you don't want to be interrupted, stop answering those messages in the middle of the night. Because when you answer the messages in the middle of the night, or you do these things, or you're running around and you're doing all this stuff, what you are once again translating to other people is that it's okay. It doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter what time of night. It doesn't, and I'm not talking about guys when it's an emergency or anything like this. I'm talking about some of us that just don't know how to set any boundaries, or just we feel bad about setting expectations or telling people what our expectations are. And I'll use myself as an example. There was a time in my life, early on in my self-love journey, where, I would just literally drop anything and everything all the time for anyone and everyone that I loved. Like, you need to talk, I'm there. You need this, I'm there. You need that, I'm there. And I still, in so many ways, want to be that person for my friends and family and the people I love. Of course, most of us want to do that. But what we have come to realize, for those of us that are more advanced on our self-love journey, is that it's not responsible to do that. It's not responsible for those relationships, and it's not responsible for us. When I say I would drop everything, I mean literally I would my nose is so itchy. I'm telling you, anything. I remember, and some of these things are hard for me to share, because when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did some of these things. But let's say I had an exam and my boyfriend needed to talk. I would be in the middle of doing an exam and be like, no, I just need to just talk to him right now. The clock is ticking on the online exam, or the clock's ticking on the whatever. And I would stop to do that. Or I would know I'm on a big, huge deadline at work. I have so much to do, but this friend wants to talk and I want to talk too. So I would just stop working on that thing and do that. Or whatever it was I was working on for myself, I would do that. And I started to realize how toxic and unhealthy that is, because I wasn't taking care of myself And I know a lot of you can see yourself in this, because there's a lot of us that are like people pleasers and empaths, and like we are rescue 911 for everybody. But the thing is, what we're not responsible for is that very often, if we had just set expectations and we had set boundaries, if we had said, hey, can I call you back in an hour? Or I'm in an exam, I can talk to you later. Or this week's actually really busy, maybe we can connect on the weekend, or like whatever it is, that would have been fine. Nobody told you or me or us to be like that. For some of us, we did grow up like that. We were conditioned like that. That's what you do for family. That's what you do for whatever. That's how you show your love. Be in a crisis. If other people are in a crisis, you need to be in a crisis too. Like, that whole thing. But what I'm saying to you now is, what is self-loving and what people need most in relationships is for people to take care of themselves and be responsible for themselves, not for us to wait for other people to take care of us, or to have other people expecting that we will take care of them. And so when you set boundaries, it helps to demonstrate, hey, I'm taking care of me and I'm there for you too, but I have to be there for me. I can't just be there for you and ditch me or abandon me or not take care of me. So we'll find what works for both of us. That is healthy. And that has people respect you, okay? Again, that has people respect and value you. Most people, you all, don't mean to disrespect us. Most people are not trying to not value us. Most people are not doing that. Most of the people that we're in relationships with and friendships with love us, and we love them. Okay, no one is intentionally trying to hurt us unless we are in relationships with narcissists, okay, and sociopaths and psychopaths. And some other people with some other mental health challenges. But again, it's usually not malicious, okay? So more than anything, what is happening for a lot of us is we are having to retrain ourselves to love ourselves, take care of ourselves, respect ourselves, while also loving our family and our friends and the people who need us. It's one thing to be there in an emergency for friends, in an emergency for family, or when people need us. Hold on a second, let me just check something that's going on. Okay, good. In an emergency, sometimes there are times when you're just gonna like roll up your sleeves and you're gonna be there. If my mom or my sister or somebody's in the hospital, yeah, I'm gonna drop a ton of things and I'm gonna be there. If a friend of mine tells me that someone's sick or someone's in the hospital, something's happening, I'm gonna drop what I'm doing and I'm gonna handle that, because that is urgent and that needs to be prioritized over almost everything. Those are like emergencies. But on the day-to-day life and living, we're not in an emergency all the time. And so it's unnecessary to create relationships or to continue to sustain relationships where we have to abandon ourselves in order to be in them. No, that should not be happening as we grow deeper and deeper into loving ourselves and people become more and more responsible for themselves. We should be able to love ourselves and take care of ourselves and also be in a relationship with our husband, our wife, our partners, our friends, and stuff like that. And so that's where this is coming from. If you don't have boundaries, if you do not have clear expectations, if you do not have standards, people will not be able to value you and respect you because they have nothing, they have no structure for that. Just think about it. It's kind of like, I'll use this very simple example. There are these cookies, okay, that I love. They're these gingerbread cookies, and they only come around at Christmas time. And I am so excited for them when they come around because they only come around at Christmas time. Now, if they were in the stores every single day, every day of the week, like all the other cookies are, okay, I probably wouldn't have the same value of them. And it's not because the other cookies are not great. You guys understand? It's not because the other cookies are less than or the other cookies are inferior or anything like that. It's just that because I recognize that those cookies are only there within certain times, I just have a certain value of them because I can't get them anytime. So I want to like make sure I scoop up as many when I can when they do come out. I don't know if that is making sense, but it's a really, really good way to sort of look at things because all of us are like that too. All of us are like that too. We're all busy people. Some of you are parents. Some of you are in school. You have jobs. You're building businesses. Some of you are all of the above, building businesses, having children, taking care of elderly parents, doing community work, writing books, doing projects. Most of us are not people who have absolutely nothing to do and just all the time in the world. So everybody's time is precious. Everybody is precious. All of us are precious. But it's up to us to treat ourselves like we're precious and to have these boundaries so that people understand that value. Without boundaries and expectations, you're just like cookies on the shelf every single day of the week that have been there since the beginning of time. Nothing wrong, but just not as valued. All right, so let's get into the next thing. The next thing is live your life. Live your life. Value your life. Okay? Value your life. Value your time on the earth. So I will tell you this. I think I mentioned to you all that don't want to do any manipulation. We don't want to do any psychological manipulation. We don't want to do any of those like fake it. I'm going to fake and pretend and do all this game playing thing. This set of principles and tips here that I've given you are the things that you do from a self-loving place that raise your vibration naturally, authentically, and truly so that you align with people who just respect and value you and cherish you and see you and feel you and have you just gently move away from people who don't. Okay? And so this last piece of live your life, value your time on earth is about understanding that you're not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. And if you want people to really value you and respect you, live your life. Stop focusing on other people's life or what this person's doing, or don't spend too much time unless it's with purpose, being all in the past and being all over here. Live. There's nothing more attractive and inspiring and exciting and alluring and magnetic than somebody who is doing their thing. Like somebody who's like, this is my life. I'm going to go out and live my life. And they're going after it. And they're doing things on their own terms. And they're just like doing what they need to do to make themselves happy. Because when you're living your life, you're not so focused on even trying to get other people to necessarily respect you and value you. You're like, I'm living my life. Like, this is my life. I'm living it. You're either with me or you're not, or like, I'm spending time with you sometimes or I'm not, but I'm not focused or fixated on you. And what that says, when you're like that, you are vibrating at such a high frequency that people are like, what is that? What is that? Now, there'll be some people that don't like that. Some people are intimidated by that. Some people are envious of that. Some people, when they get around that, they feel jealous. And so you might get some like, people that don't want to be around you, or they distance themselves from you, or you get some of them projecting on you, but that's not your problem. That's not your issue. Recognize that that's their issue. You got to live your life. And what that does is that melts away your insecurities because you're in your joy. You're doing what makes you happy and you're working on and towards your happiness. That's attractive. It's high value behavior. It's high frequency behavior. Happy people are like power supplies, okay? Seriously. Which, we always say energy is so contagious, it's so infectious, all of that. It is. So when you're around really low, miserable, kind of like unhappy people, you can feel the dip sort of happen, how everything starts to drop, and people feel that. When there's joy and joyful people and joyous people around, you can feel the elevation, you can feel things start to come up, and people can't help but respect that and value that and want to know, like, what are you doing? What is it about you? Tell me more. People want to come close to that. And that is not even a strategy. Do you see what I'm saying here? That's not a strategy. That's not manipulation. That's not a game. That's not, I'm going to pretend I feel good about myself. I'm going to pretend I'm something I'm not. I'm going to pretend to make you think I'm something I'm not, or be something that I'm not, so that you like me. Meanwhile, I'm shaking in my boots inside, and like, I just feel deeply insecure, and I'm hoping you won't figure it out. And then we'll eventually get into a relationship where you'll see how insecure and how low my self-worth is, and we'll be fighting like cats and dogs, and we will just tear each other apart. No, we're not doing any of that. We are truly doing the inner work and the self-love work to be like, this is who I am. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to be who you want me to be. I don't need to meet your expectations or your opinions of me. I'm living my life. People who like me and are aligned with me and who want to vibe with me, come, let's do this. And if you don't, it's okay. I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to validate me. I don't need that. I don't need it. That is power like no other. Being able to just like flow. People come, people go. And so that right there is one of the most powerful things to having people value you. Particularly the ones that you want to value you. We don't care about the ones we don't value either. Understand that there are people that we don't really value. There are some people in the world that I don't really have a ton of value for them. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have love for them. Like, again, because of my spiritual practice and what I believe, I really do believe we're all God's children. Like, I don't believe anyone is better than anyone else, okay? I believe that we're all here for a reason and a purpose, whatever that is, okay? That doesn't mean that I want to spend time with everybody, or I want to sit down around a table with everybody, or I want to be friends with everybody, or I want to like be in intimate relationships with everybody. No, some people have values that I do not value and I do not want to be a part of. And that is how some people feel about us. So Don't worry about that. That's okay. Live your life. Now, I know that's a little bit easier said than done when it's like our family, people that we grew up with, people that we've had a long history with and stuff like that. Those people are our primary, like our originating circle, our originating family. You know, they're our primary group. And so it's always very terrifying if you feel like you're not going to be a part of the group or you're not going to belong. Believe me, I understand. I think I have a ton of religious trauma that I have had to work through over the years. But what I would say is, as you go deeper and deeper into your self-love journey, and you love yourself more and more, and you practice the things that we have talked about in the first 4 points, four points before this fifth one, you'll start to feel something where even though it's your family and maybe your family is a little bit different or has different values or whatever it is, it's not so personal. Like, it's not because there's something wrong with you, or it's not because you're not enough, or it's not because you're bad, or these things that you might have thought when you were a child or growing up, or before you worked through your trauma, before you looked at what all these limiting beliefs are, before you started to do your shadow work, all this kind of stuff. Now you just understand that some people will never see things the way you see things. Some people will never believe the things that you do. Like, we're just not all meant to be the same. And sometimes that's true of family. Many family members don't like this self-love stuff, or they don't want you to love yourself. They want you to be the old version of yourself that they used to be able to talk to a certain way or get to do certain things, or, you know, they want things like the way they were. So it's up to you to just be comfortable with your journey and to get more and more comfortable over time, just knowing like, no, I think that when I look for myself, I feel better about myself. I'm respecting myself more. I'm knowing my worth more. I'm knowing my value more. And because I am beginning to more and more attract into my life and be surrounded by people who mirror that back to me. So that was our live for today. We restarted this live 45 minutes into this live. We ended up restarting it. So some of you were there for that and this portion. I will have this up and available once it is ready. So you'll be able to watch this replay because this was long. We went into a lot of stuff. But these are the things that at a very base level will begin to help you to shift the energy that's around you and get people to actually really value you and treat you with the respect that you deserve. And you do not have to do any manipulation whatsoever. It's all clean. It's all high vibrational. It's all authentic. It's all coming from a loving place of loving yourself and just aligning with people that are a vibrational match and letting go of the people that aren't. They either level up or they level out. And that's it. If you want to go deeper into this, you can leave me some questions and some comments below. I will answer those for sure. For those of you that are aware that you want to do some one-to-one coaching, all of my links will be in the description box of wherever this video is. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok, where we're just growing very quickly. Thank you, TikTok. Instagram, you can follow me there. Y'all know I have complaints about Instagram because I'm kind of like, why? Instagram has been censoring and blocking my account for so many years, and I can't get it to change, but you can come there as well. But yeah, it was so fun to be with you all, and we'll do another live probably next week. I may have a self-love masterclass coming out later this week, depending on my schedule. And yeah. So much fun. Thank you all for your patience. Again, with the little clicking off of the camera, I mentioned to you guys that that's just because I'm using a DSLR and there's no workaround around that. I prefer to use this camera rather than the built-in webcam. It just looks better. But yeah, we rock and roll today. So appreciate you all and have an enjoyable rest of the day until we are together again. Don't you forget that we truly are in this together. Mwah. I'll see you later.